Imagine with me Mecca, the honorable, over 1,400 years ago, a city of trade and traditions, where values and principles governed people's lives. In this place, in the year of the elephant, was born the greatest of humanity, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, son of Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib, from the ancient tribe of Quraysh, renowned for its honor, generosity, and valor. Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was born an orphan. His father passed away before his birth. His mother, Amina bint Wahb, surrounded him with love and compassion in his early years. But he did not stay with her long. She passed away when he was just 6 years old. His grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, then took him under his care, followed by his uncle Abu Talib, who remained a steadfast support throughout his life. In his young years, before working in trade or accompanying his uncle on journeys, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, tended sheep on the outskirts of Mecca. The desert was his first school, where he learned patience, contemplation, and responsibility. Amid the quiet sands and clear skies, the initial features of his calm, forbearing character began to form. From his earliest days, exceptional qualities shone through him. He was truthful and trustworthy, compassionate, and devoted to goodness, to the extent that the people of Mecca nicknamed him the Truthful, the Trustworthy. His honesty was not mere words, but a way of life and morals, attested to by all who knew him. After his years of shepherding, he began assisting his uncle in trade, learning the arts of buying and selling, and understanding the value of honest work and keeping one's word. His heart always inclined toward helping the weak and needy. He detested injustice and arrogance, qualities that remained part of his character even after his prophethood. Thus, the loss of his parents, the protection of his grandfather and uncle, the early experience of shepherding, and then work in trade, all these stages forged the great character of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, a character that would lead a nation, change the course of world history, and remain a guiding light for hearts even to this day. After the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, became a trustworthy young man, known for his honesty and integrity, he caught the attention of Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her, a wealthy and respected woman in Makkah, known for her good character and generosity. He, peace and blessings be upon him, married her in a relationship filled with love and mutual respect. She was his greatest support in every step of his life, especially in trade and business. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, worked in trade from a young age, traveling with caravans to Sham, Greater Syria, and Yemen, carrying goods and selling them with honesty and trustworthiness. This work gave him great experience and credibility among merchants, and it taught him patience, wisdom, and fair management, qualities that would later accompany him in his prophetic mission. When he reached the age of 40, while reflecting in the cave of Hira, the revelation came to him for the first time through Gabriel, by the command of Allah. Read. Thus began the journey of prophethood. At first, the call to Islam was secret, shared only with those closest to him. His wife Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet's call, peace and blessings be upon him, aimed to affirm the oneness of Allah and spread goodness, warning against the polytheism and injustice that were widespread in Makkah. He faced great difficulties and resistance from some of Quraysh, yet he remained patient and forbearing, holding firmly to his faith and reliance upon Allah, calling people with wisdom and good counsel. This early stage, marriage, work, then the descent of revelation and the secret call, formed the foundation for the later spread of Islam. It established the values of patience, trustworthiness, and wisdom that distinguished the character of the Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him from the beginning until the public proclamation of his message, becoming a message of guidance and light for all humanity. After the call to Islam began in secret, the time came when Allah commanded the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to proclaim his message openly. Thus began the stage of public da'wat in Makkah, where he openly called people with sincerity and wisdom, explaining the oneness of Allah and inviting them to goodness and justice, while warning them against the polytheism and dhulm that were widespread in the city. During this stage, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, faced intense opposition from Quraysh, who tried to stop him and turn him away from his mission. He was subjected to verbal abuse and physical harm, and rumors and false accusations were spread about him. Yet he remained patient and forbearing, maintaining his noble character and holding firmly to his honesty and the truth of his message. One of the most difficult phases of the mission was the social and economic boycott imposed by Quraysh on the Muslims and the followers of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. They were isolated, trade with them was forbidden, and they were deprived of their basic rights. Despite this hardship, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not lose hope. Instead, his faith and patience only increased as he remained steadfast upon the truth and guided by Allah's direction. Throughout this period, he continued spreading the message of Islam with wisdom and good counsel, calling people to righteousness and persevering despite every hardship. He demonstrated that patience and steadfastness are the foundation of success, and that reliance upon Allah and adherence to noble values are the path to victory and true success. This stage of the public call in Makkah established the principles of patience, steadfastness upon truth, and trust in Allah, laying the foundations that later paved the way for the spread of Islam throughout the Arabian Peninsula. As persecution intensified against Muslims in Mecca amid spreading injustice and boycott, God permitted his prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to migrate to Medina, finding fertile ground for truth and people who believed in him before seeing him, the Ansar, may God be pleased with them. The migration's goal was protecting Islam and building a society based on justice and mercy after Mecca had become too narrow for the faithful. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, departed with his companion Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may God be pleased with him, on a journey filled with events and lessons. They took unusual routes to mislead Quraysh pursuers, hiding in Cave Thar for 3 days amid intense pursuit. Yet the Prophet remained steadfast-hearted, reassured by God's promise. He and his companion were saved, completing their path to Medina, where the Ansar welcomed them with unprecedented joy, chanting, "The full moon rose over us." A new chapter in Islamic history began, state and community building. The Prophet's first act was constructing the Prophet's Mosque as a worship center uniting hearts in God's remembrance, followed by establishing brotherhood between Muhajirun and Ansar, forging a cohesive society of cooperation and love. He also established the Charter of Medina, among history's first political documents, organizing relations between Muslims, Jews, and Medina's residents, guaranteeing rights for all. Then he wisely managed state affairs, regulating economy, resolving disputes, establishing justice, teaching morals and mercy, making Medina a unique model of a faith-based state founded on values, order, and equity. The Hijrah was no mere relocation, but a monumental historical transformation, launching nation-building and paving Islam's light to spread across Arabia and beyond. After establishing the state in Medina, a new phase began in the Prophet Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, life, defending the call and confronting threats from Quraysh and hostile tribes. These expeditions were not for fighting itself, but protecting Muslims, repelling aggression, and upholding truth. The first major battle was the Battle of Badr. Muslims set out to protect their caravan, only to face a large Quraysh army. Faith's power shone. A small force confronted a superior one in numbers and equipment. Yet God granted victory to his believing servants. Badr was a pivotal clash that raised Islam's banner, proving strength lies not in numbers, but faith and resolve. Then came Uhud. Muslims defended Medina. They initially triumphed, but archers disobeying the Prophet's order turned the tide, wounding Muslims and testing them greatly. Uhud taught eternal lessons in obedience, patience, endurance, and that victory belongs to God alone. Ghazwat al-Ahzab, Confederates, followed, as nearly all Arab tribes allied to eradicate Medina. They besieged fiercely, but the Prophet and companions dug the trench, a novel military strategy in Arabia. Fear peaked, hearts reached throats, yet God aided believers with a fierce wind dispersing the Confederates, breaking their assault without major combat, restoring Medina's security. Khaybar featured strong forts held by treacherous people. Post-Hudaybiyah Treaty, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, confronted their threat. The battle was tough due to fortifications, but Muslims conquered fort by fort until God granted victory, securing Medina from their harm and boosting Islam's regional influence. Amid these were raids and other engagements to safeguard the state, repel attacks, secure trade routes, and preempt threats. In every instance, the Prophet exemplified courage and mercy, fighting only in defense of truth, never initiating aggression, honoring prisoners and weak's rights. These expeditions were no mere military clashes, but stages building a strong nation, upholding justice, confronting oppression, raising truth's banner, teaching that true victory starts from the heart, from faith, patience, and obedience. After establishing the Islamic State in Medina, a crucial phase began. Establishing laws and legislation to organize Muslim society based on justice and faith. This stage laid clear foundations for worship, transactions, morals, and rights. The primary legislative source is the Quran, the word of God revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, containing comprehensive guidance for individual and communal life. It teaches Muslims piety, truthfulness, justice, and daily conduct. Alongside the Quran, the Prophet's Sunnah served as the second source, his sayings, actions, and approvals, explaining divine rulings in practice. The Sunnah complemented the Quran, detailing prayer, zakat, social interactions, commerce, and more. Through these sources, Islamic Sharia formed a complete constitution covering worship rulings, prayer, fasting, zakat, hajj, moral rulings, truthfulness, trustworthiness, mercy, justice, transactional rulings, buying/selling, criminal/civil laws, rights protection. Sharia wasn't rigid laws, but a living approach linking man to God and society. These rulings stabilized the state, building a cohesive community of Islamic values, achieving justice, security, and mercy. In summary, laws and legislation formed the Islamic State's backbone, organizing daily life, teaching faith, justice, patience, and piety. After the Islamic nation was fully built and most legislation revealed, the 10th year after Hijrah marked a pivotal moment in Prophet Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, life. That year he performed the farewell pilgrimage, his only Hajj, addressing Muslims atop Mount Arafah with an eternal sermon, establishing the nation's great foundations, sanctity of blood, property and honor, human equality, and holding fast to God's book and his Sunnah. This sermon declared the message complete, preparing the Ummah to walk the path of guidance alone. Returning to Medina, he bid farewell in ways companions understood later. He emphasized mercy, prayer, and care for those under protection, visiting companions one by one. In his final days, illness intensified. He moved weekly between his wife's rooms until permitted to stay in Aisha's. May God be pleased with her. On Monday, the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal, God took his pure soul after a final glance at his praying companions. He smiled his last message. Continue the path after me. Grief engulfed Medina. Companions collapsed in tears and shock. Umar, may God be pleased with him, exclaimed, "Whoever says Muhammad is dead, I'll behead him." But Abu Bakr, may God be pleased with him, stood firm, declaring his immortal words. Whoever worshipped Muhammad, Muhammad is dead. Whoever worships God, God is ever living, never dies. His legacy wasn't wealth or power, but greater. A guiding book, illuminating Sunnah, and a nation raised on faith, justice, mercy. He left a complete life methodology enduring until Judgment Day, saying, "I leave among you what if you hold to, you'll never go astray. God's book and my Sunnah." His rank among prophets is highest, seal of prophets, master of Adam's children, bearer of greatest intercession on Judgment Day, most followed prophet, most merciful to his ummah. Companions loved him with unmatched love. Muslims carried him in hearts across generations until his name, peace and blessings be upon him, filled the world with light. Thus ended the Prophet's bodily life, peace and blessings be upon him, but began an eternal message walking the earth today, reviving hearts, reforming souls, building nations.